Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today with Paws and Effect. I am Janelle, your host, and Paws and Effect is the series brought to you to help you sift through the information and bring the best out of your dog through diet, training, and communication. Today with me, I have a very special guest all the way from Germany. And I apologize in advance as I know I'm not saying your name correctly, but I welcome Petra Köhler, and please everyone welcome Petra Köhler with us today.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh.
Oh, Petra, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Well, the probably easiest thing, yes, you may call me Petra. No, just kidding. Well, no, I'm not kidding with that. Yes, you may call me Petra. I've been into training dogs more or less all my life, but the last 20 years, you can say I've been doing it part-time, the last 10 years full-time, also with a business in Spain. I'm sorry, that's my mobile. With a business in Spain going, and yeah, from that I had almost everything, mostly pet dogs, so I'm going to call myself a pet dog trainer. But believe me, with pet dogs, you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with owners, and it's not going to make it easier. Sometimes I wish Europe were more into board and train because I could just work the dogs. But no. And after that, yeah, always being the person that wants the challenges, and after having all kinds of certifications, also international certifications, not only the European ones, I said, well, now it's time to get into the service dog world, and that's mostly what I'm concentrating on now, besides nutrition, besides regular individual classes. So I kind of skip the group classes now.
I find my favorite parts, my favorite parts are the one-on-ones with the interaction you can get, because you can get so much deeper and really so much more progress in a one-on-one session than you can in a group session. They're for different things, I should say.
They are totally different, but I definitely also love the individuals, or the one-on-ones as you call them, because you can get so deep into things like the one-on-ones and the workshops. I always see people go home, take the most, and that's the point when normally they don't have to contact me anymore, and I'm like, yes, I did it right.
I know it's always the best part when your clients are good and they don't. It's like, oh, I've worked myself out of a job, yay!
Well, that makes you good.
It is. That's always the goal, is to empower people so that they can do it on their own. Because it's not like we have a magic pill. We just have information that we get to share with others.
True.
So I have so many questions for you. With all of your experience and everything that you've seen over the years, what are the different cultural responses to dog training? You mentioned that in Europe's not huge on board and train, whereas here in America, we get a lot of requests for board and trains, as just one example. So,
yeah. No, actually, in Europe, we have a lot of things that are very different to the US. First of all, you have different laws. Mm-hmm. For example, e-collar, I think, is banned most or less in all European countries. Mm-hmm. Same as prong collar. At the moment, they're getting at our slip leads. So yeah, it kind of brings you to the point where you really, you're not working the tools, you have to work your knowledge. How am I going to be able to fix this team, always consisting of human and dog? How am I going to fix this team with no tools, very few techniques, but you have to fix them with your knowledge? You have to know that, yes, you may use a cookie, but you may not feed your dog to be, I don't know, 150 pounds. You know what I'm saying?
Moderation.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, the Europeans aren't into giving you the dog to train him up, for example, like in a board and train. They have their pet, and you see a lot of well-behaved dogs in the streets. Those are never going to be your clients. Never, ever, ever. Because those are people that actually know how to deal with a dog. They will never take the dog to be the child or the family member they have been missing out. They're going to treat that dog as a dog, and you're never going to have a problem with that dog. So, yeah, it's kind of tough because the people have also been worked on, as in, you're not allowed to influence the dog that bad and that much, and you have to have that dog at his character and whatever. So yeah, they're not making it easy on us. You always have to pick up the owner to then afterwards pick up the dogs. It's, I mean, you know it, you've been into training more than long enough. It's the owner you have to work on, not the dog most of the time.
Well, and I found the way that I like to look at it is like the dog is frustrated normally a lot of the times with something going on. And I have found it's things once they start to see, especially once the owners start to see, the dogs will almost immediately within one session, I can have an impact. Owners, it takes time for them to learn and get the confidence. And that's where we're going. Really, we're human coaches.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Human coaches, and then we teach them how to communicate with dogs. And that's actually where Europe seems to be going by removing the e-collars and all of those other things is you're left with communication. You don't have a lot of the safety pieces that such as the prong collars, or I know even in some countries you're not allowed to have like a long stick to keep a distance.
Oh no.
Right, because some people not all humans are fantastic, and so unfortunately our laws are focused for them.
No, absolutely. I have to really go with you on that. It's about educating, and it's about educating the humans less than the dogs. But I mean, I told you about this one thing that actually happened to a trainer colleague of mine. Since she's not allowed to use whips to keep a distance in a social group, who is now not allowed to keep distance between dogs. And I mean, she was in it luckily with 2 trainers, but believe me, she showed me the hands afterwards. They had to get in, they had to stop the fight, and they could not do it with anything else but their hands. And they got bit so bad. It's been, I think, almost 10 weeks now, and she can't use her right hand up to now because it's swollen, it's still infected, and oh dear Lord. Sometimes I say, let us use tools, but let us learn how to use them beforehand. Yes. And that's the point where the education kicks in, and the laws just put out laws and said, we're not going to use them because people have not used them thoroughly, have not been trained on them, and so on. Yeah.
Well, and absolutely, a lot of the people haven't been trained on the tools that were there, so the tools were removed, and now we have a situation where trainers are getting injured. So, which obviously that the owners are in situations like that every day, which is having the opportunity to see the different types of techniques and the ideas that are out there, so you know that it's not hopeless. There are all around the world. We're working on ways to find that little missing piece, for the humans all of the humans and the dogs, because some humans are easier than others.
True.
Just get
True.
it.
Yeah.
I phrased a question really well when I was writing it down.
Tell it to me.
When you are, for example, when you are when you were writing your book, for example, what did you do to prepare the reader for what was coming, for how to, what was your technique, I'll say, for how you got to the explanation of, you just have to hear what your dog is saying, just listen. These are the techniques that you get to use. Great book, by the way. If you haven't read it, you absolutely need to read her book.
That's so sweet. Thanks. No, the title says, Dog, Please Say Something. And the subtitle is Learning to Understand Your Dog. And with that, I think where I got the people was when they were able to read their own experience out of the mouth of different people. So, for example, I don't know how many students I had that joined me in training at one point, and they just wrote down their story. I started with this and that problem. We got to a point that we got it solved, and now I'm the happiest person on earth. So a lot of times you read out of experience, you learn out of experience, and they're not listening to me, very intelligent person. Don't laugh now. Don't laugh. I said
I'm
no.
not laughing. I just started not laughing.
They're not listening to me. They're listening to people that have a dog, that had a problem, that made their experience, and that said, hey, it's not that dumb what she's telling me. There is a reason to put up boundaries, to put up rules, to put up limitations, to say, let a dog be dog, you know? And so I think that's what really got it going, not trying to judge people, not telling people what to do, but letting people read the experience others made, and them finding themselves again in that experience, saying, oh my God, that's me. And I phrased that out in the book, saying that a lot of times when you're reading it, you will notice and probably fall to the point and say, oh my God, that's me. It's not you, but yes, there are more people that have those problems, that made the same experience, that were looking for help and got it. Not the first time, not the second, maybe the third, fourth, or fifth time.
Well, it takes time to learn things.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can pick it up right away.
Oh, then I would have been better in college.
Yeah, if we could find that magic pill, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, perfect.
My daughter's headed to college this coming year, so she'd love that pill. What is it that when you have a client come to you, what is your general kind of process for identifying what's wrong and how you can help them?
Well, a lot of times, and that's why I love the one-on-ones. Mm-hmm. If it is possible, I do the one-on-ones the first time at home of the client. Mm-hmm. So by ringing the doorbell, I often already see what's going on. You know what yeah, you're laughing. You know what I'm talking about. And after that, of course, I sit down, I let the people or the client tell me their issues,
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, although I'm listening to the client, I'm watching the dog. And the dog might be telling you a different story than the client is telling you at that point. And that's why I also chose the title of my book saying, Starting to Understand Your Dog. Because by mimic, by body language, by the whole gesture, everything the dog is showing you, the dog is already telling you a story.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to learn as a human to also respect our four-legged friend. A lot of people think love equals respect, but love doesn't equal respect at all. And
I think we've forgotten that in the human aspect as well. Love
yeah,
equal respect.
absolutely.
If you respect someone, you do normally love and care for them, but they're not a given.
Yeah, it's two different things, and that is something I know sometimes it's tough to hear. I mean, a lot of times people, dog owners, don't like to hear it if you point those things out. I know you love your dog, but start respecting him. I respect my dog. No, you don't, because you're showing me by this and this and this and this and that. And that's something a lot of times, honestly, I mean, I've not given up. I have to think now. No, but by all the dogs I've worked with, I think I have not given up once. I had to rehome a dog once because it was simply a mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I have never given up on a dog, because the dogs, sometimes they're calling out for help. And I mean, the dogs, they are asking you so bad, please tell my owner what to do, because I'm trying my best, but she's not getting it, or he, you know? And those are the things we really have to stand up for and say, hey, it might not be a human, but it's a living being. And what is kind of missing out, and now thanks to the US also, because they are first into doing science on that, and also to doing the what do you call it? The evolution on it is dogs are able to feel emotions.
Mm-hmm.
There is emotions in a dog. Something, if you go 20 years back and you would have told somebody about a dog and emotions, they would have laughed at you.
Oh yeah. Oh no, they're not. Dogs don't have. Yeah, that's the philosophy that we grew up with, you know.
Absolutely.
And then we kind of we evolved.
Fortunately,
and that's actually I find the same thing, which is one of the reasons the owners are out searching, because they know that they know something is off.
Yeah.
From my experience, most of the time when they're, for example, when a dog is showing signs of being nervous, the natural human response, okay, let me cuddle you and snuggle you, is the exact opposite that the dog needs to calm down and tell him that everything's okay. So humans accidentally create these issues thinking they're loving and respecting their animal when they may be loving, but they're doing the opposite that their animal needs to show them that respect. So we're translators, and coaches, which you've been having not had to give up on anyone and actually being able to rehome that dog. That's huge. That's a great track record.
Well, you know, I'm very, very, very determined in everything I do in my life. And yes, I probably would have bitten my, sorry to say it, ass if I would have had to give up at that point. Yeah, I'm a very determined person.
I can see that. You'd have to for juggling everything you did while writing that book. I still how you managed to get all that. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Isn't it amazing? You look back on what you've done in the past and you're like, wow, Um, looking ahead, and speaking for those owners who feel maybe not left out, but like they've tried maybe traditional dog training, or they've tried several different trainers, gone to veterinarians. What do you tell those owners when they get to you, or those that are in the audience right now, that feel like there's no hope for their dog?
Well, first of all, never put your dog on Prozac. I mean, honestly, and I've noticed people I've worked with beforehand and I'm working with again now, because they notice there are different problems that turned up whatsoever. And you can see why those problems turned up, because they didn't change anything. They didn't change anything in themselves, in the way they're interacting with the dog. So at that point, I have to say, like I said it in the book, learning to understand your dog. You don't always have to tell your dog, sit, don't scream at, go ahead, say, sit, and say thank you afterwards. There are so many people that laugh at me if I say thank you to my dog. Oh my God, believe me, she understands it. And she's like, what's going on with you, when I'm kind of harsh on her?
Oh, yeah.
The dogs know. And depending on what's your natural state, if you're normally a soft person, I mean, I'm always very determined. So for my dog, it's normal if I don't say, sit, please. She would probably look at me and like, what's going on with you? So, okay, I go ahead and I say, sit, because I want it now. But I don't yell at my dog. I don't scream it out and so on. And that is something where I try to tell the people, try to find your natural state. As soon as you're able to find your natural state, you will see that your dog responds differently to you if you're willing to talk to your dog in that natural state.
Well, the thing that I love is I do something actually very similar, which is fantastic, but it's when they, I like to add in and explain, because dogs all operate off of energy, they feel. I can feel if an angry person walks into the room. I don't know why they're angry, but I can feel that they're angry.
Yeah.
Or that they're, anxious or something along those lines. Dogs are the same way. They have no idea why we're uncertain, but they can still feel it. So like when you think of kids, if you yell at a kid, they're just going to freak out and be like, I'm going to go on the other side. Like, I don't know why you're freaking. Yep. Dogs do the exact same thing. They don't want to be around somebody who's unstable. So the more calm and stable you can be as their owner, as their leader, then the happier they are.
No, absolutely. And especially talking energy. I mean, I love to talk energy. A lot of people look at me like, okay, what planet did you come from when I start talking energy? But yeah, the whole world, our world, the world of our four-legged friends, and it actually doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cat or whatsoever, or a horse. Yeah, they're all into energy. They can all see there's a difference. If you're at a calm state, your dog is going to respond to you. If you're in an, I don't know, anxiety state, your dog is going to respond probably by taking off, So a lot of times, yeah, you really have to figure out where are you at that point, and then you can ask your dog to do something. I mean, how many times have you seen it, dog and owner walking down the street and the dog is pulling at the leash and saying, oh my God, I want to get away, I want to get away. Yeah. That's what we're talking. I mean, that's actually one of those things where you say, okay, this person is not stable and the dog is showing it to you.
Well, and the people don't realize that there's another option. That
Oh, no.
there is a way to communicate and teach your dog not to do that, other than with some, there's many different ways to do it. Many different ways to communicate that, but just allowing it to happen doesn't actually help anyone.
No, absolutely. And I mean, there are things crazy enough to, oh, my dog is coming by again.
I know.
Crazy enough to say is, if you look at a dog, enjoy. If you look at a dog and you expect that dog to do something, to communicate with you, well, how is that dog going to communicate with you if you're not willing to pick up on it?
To listen.
Yeah. In Germany, you're not allowed to yank leashes anymore. How many people do you know that yank the dog back on a leash if they're going ahead during a walk or trying to get away from you? They just yank the dog without telling the dog, okay, I want you to come close. I want something. They just yank the dog without any explanation. And that's the point where I say, okay, it's a lack of communication. And that's where I come to, it's about educating the human more than educating the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I want to be conscious of everyone's time. So as we're getting close to the end, I want to give an opportunity. Petra was super generous and has a gift that she's sharing. So please, if you want to say a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, since it's very important to me for everybody to understand his dog, and I mean, I could go on for hours talking about dogs and training, but what I thought that might be good for all of you, I put up a link to my shop on my website. And although that shop is in German, you will see a German version and an English version of the book I wrote. And you just click on it. You're going to write down your address anyway. I'm going to, for the first 3 people, it's not only going to be the book for free, but I will be willing to sign it, dedicate it to someone. So you can just leave that in the comments. It will be my pleasure. I will be honored to. And yeah, I just
Thank you so much.
live and work for dogs.
That is so awesome. I have had so much fun talking today, and we could talk for much longer.
Definitely.
So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today, and thank you everyone for joining us while we continue to learn more and delve into the world and realm of dogs and how to bring the best out of them through diet, training, and communication. Have a great day, everyone.